Hello and Happy New Year. It's 2024. Goodness me, that was, 2023 was a year, wasn't it? Let's hope that 2024 is, I don't know, a little less chaotic. Anyway, my name's Mel and this is my little corner of the YouTubes, and I'm here to tell you about what I made in December. I've got some works in progress, and I've also got a kind of future plan as well to tell you about. So I'll just get straight into it and tell you about what I'm wearing. This is my no frills sweater. I've just got my notebook down here. No frills sweater by Petite Knit, and it's a really straightforward, simple raglan jumper, and I've knit it in this beautiful John Arbon sport weight yarn, which is from his Yarnadelic range, and this is the colourway, the beautiful ones, and you can't see it on camera, but in real life it's a kind of greyish background, but then throughout it is striped yellow and lilac and blue, and it really looks like a kind of a really subtle rainbow in real life. And when I first finished this jumper, which was in about November of last year, I think initially I must have been planning to have it slightly cropped to wear with dresses and things, but in reality I don't actually wear a lot of dresses. I'm a trousers girl. I love wearing trousers, and also because of the time I was finishing it, it's like getting into winter, I wanted something that was a bit longer. So actually once I'd finished the jumper and I'd put it in the bath and I blocked it, I thought, oh, this is too short. So what I actually did was I unpicked the hem, pulled it back maybe about an inch. I took all of the ribbing out, and then picked up the stitches again, and I added in total about 3.5 inches to the length, and it now sits at kind of mid-hip for me, and it's a really good length. But even when I'd re-knit it and blocked it again, I was kind of a bit meh about it. I was like, nah, it's okay. But as soon as I started wearing it, I've literally had it on every single day since I finished it. Because it's just it's just such an easy jumper to wear. It's a really great colour for blending with other colours that I'm wearing, and it's warm and it's cosy, and I purposefully made the sleeves bracelet length. Well, they're probably a little shorter than bracelet length, but this is a really good length for me because I always push my sleeves up anyway. So yeah, this length has just worked out really well. So that's my first finished object, and I'm actually really happy with it. I would definitely use this Yarnadelic yarn again because it's just beautiful, and it's a sport weight, but it's because it's 100% wool, it's not superwash. It's actually really nice and cozy. So I would definitely use it again, and I would definitely knit. Well, the reason for the initial reason I had for knitting this particular pattern was I wanted to get a kind of, I wanted to find like a tried and true pattern for jumpers that I could just, so I could make several of the same jumper in different colours and just have them as like a standard jumper in my wardrobe. And I'm really thinking that this is possibly the one. I would also like to try a kind of more standard yoked sweater as well, because I have a yoke sweater that I've made, and I like the shape of that as well. But sometimes with a yoke sweater, when you lift your arms up, the whole thing lifts up, which is okay. So I thought I'll try a raglan which it just means that the seam goes down into the armpit. Try like raglan and see if I like the shape of that, and I do actually. So this is definitely one that I want to try again with another Yarnadelic colour, and get a few more of these in my wardrobe. So that was, after a bit of an initial not sure, I actually really love this now. So this is going to be a staple in my wardrobe. And the next thing that I finished was the hat that I was going to make for my husband, Milo. So he had seen this yarn in my stash, and it's a Fruitful Fusion DK yarn, and it's this gorgeous grass green and brown variegated yarn, and it's lovely. But I had a few misses with this one. So initially I started knitting it and I thought, oh, this is gonna grow. You know, when you just have the feeling of like, this yarn is gonna grow. And so I'd started knitting it and I thought, this is gonna be too big. And I kept trying it on him and I thought, will it be okay? Will it not be okay? And in the end I was like, no, I'm gonna rip back and I'm gonna cast on for the next size down. Because he's got quite a big head, you see, so, and he'll be the first to admit it as well. So I'm not being rude, but he has got a big head. So I thought I'd go for like quite a good, a big, one of the biggest sizes. Oh, by the way, this is Purl Soho best friend hat pattern. So there's a really good range of sizes for this pattern. So I went for kind of second down from the largest. But as I was knitting it, I thought this is going to be too large. So I went down to the next size. I was like, okay, great, I'm away with this now. And it's just a kind of straightforward knit one, purl one rib. But as I was getting towards the top, I thought, I'm going to run out of yarn. So then I was playing yarn chicken and I was like, am I going to have enough yarn to finish this hat? And I didn't. So I managed to find like I had a teeny kind of 10-gram ball of similar green coloured yarn from the Knitting Goddess. So I just thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll use that and then just see how far I get with that, and then that might give me an idea of how much I need to rip it back to actually knit it again. So that's what I did. I got to the end. I got Milo to try it on. And I could see that actually the length of it was going to be good. It was actually like a little bit longer than it needed to be, which was what I want, that's the outcome I wanted, because ideally what I wanted to then do was rip it back to before the decreases of the hat, and take out a few of the plain rows and then knit the decreases again, so that ultimately I actually had enough of the original yarn to finish the hat off. So that's what I did. So rip back again. I took 3 of the plain rows out and then knit it again and managed to finish the hat with the original yarn. Yay, excellent, job's a good one. But then, as I mentioned before, I'd already felt like the yarn was starting to grow, and I really didn't want to block it at this point because I thought it's going to grow too big. So I gave it to Milo for his Christmas on Christmas Day, and he wore it around the house for a couple of days, and I could see that it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I'll just show you. This is the situation. I mean, it's even too big for him. I mean, so it looks lovely, and I'm still really pleased with how it looks, and he is too. But I think even if I rip this back and knit it again in a smaller size, I think it's still going to grow, because it's superwash yarn, and it's lovely and drapey, but it probably wasn't the best choice of yarn to knit a ribbed hat in. So that's my bad. But because he really likes the yarn, I thought, do you know what I could do? I could get another yarn, another green yarn, like a fingering weight yarn, and rip it all out again and put the DK weight yarn together with the fingering weight yarn. And if I get a yarn that's a bit more stable and it isn't superwash, then that should give it enough structure to hold the knit one, purl one, you know, the actual ribbing, and make it actually work as a ribbed hat, which is meant to stretch as you put the hat on. So this is what I've done. Well, what I mean is I've got the yarn. So the yarn that I have got to try this again with is this beautiful Gartner organic fingering, which, as you can see, is a really nice kind of complementary colour to this. Or the other choice is Mondeem fingering weight as well. So this is the sock, but it doesn't have any nylon in it. It's 100% Portuguese wool. So again, this is like a nice kind of emerald or jade kind of colour. So what I'm hoping is I'll choose one of these to hold together with the DK, and then I'll re-knit the hat, and hopefully it should have a bit more structure and it should hold its ribbing, and he can actually get a hat that he can wear and doesn't need to worry about it growing. So that was another finished object that doesn't work, but I'm going to try it and make it work with one of these two yarns. So one last finished object, which is kind of Christmas related, is but I just thought, I know it's now January, but this is kind of my December make, so I'm including it in, and I think they're super cute, so I just want to include them in. Is this little Christmas pudding cozy. So it's actually to fit in, so you fit a Ferrero Rocher chocolate inside there, and then you hang it on the tree. And me and Milo love Ferrero Rocher, and I always like to hang them on my tree. So this is the only one that I've got left. I made some for my work colleagues, and I also sent them to my mother-in-law and Milo's aunties as a little Christmas present as well, along with like some chocolate and other bits and pieces. So yeah, this is a little pattern that comes out every year, and I always knit some and then end up giving them away to people as little presents, and people seem to really like them. And they do take it, you know, they're not super quick. I mean, I guess they take, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours maybe for each one. But yeah, I think they're really cute, and people seem to like them as well. So I just thought I'd show you that one, because that's a good seasonal finished object to show you on this episode. So now I'm going to move on to works in progress, or WIPS. And the first one is for a work colleague who went off on maternity leave in December, and she's now had her baby. So I decided that I would make him a little cardigan, and here it is. Are you going to be able to see that? So it's a little purl bump. It's got a purl bump yoke, and then it's stockinette, and then a purl bump band at the bottom, and then a little sleeve. So I've only got one more sleeve to do, and then I can send it off. But so the pattern is, let me get my notes out. Yeah, so the pattern is called the Perfect Baby Cardigan, and it's by Rachel Atkinson. And I just think it's gorgeous. And the yarn that I'm using is a Qing fibre club colourway. I signed up to her club, it must have been during lockdown, so it was either, let's say it was 2020, and you could join the I joined the DK, it was a DK club, and I think I got like four months worth of yarn in different colours. And this is just, I thought this would be lovely for a baby because there's all different colours in there. And I don't like knitting engendered colours, so I don't like knitting blue for boy and pink for girl. I like to just kind of mix it up a little bit, and I thought this was a lovely kind of mix of all different kinds of colours. And there's actually buttonholes in this that you won't be able to see. So I bought some green heart-shaped buttons. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, I've got them here actually. So I bought some green heart-shaped buttons, and they will go on the cardigan. Don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it just brings like another pop of colour. There is green, there's bright pops of green in the yoke, so I thought that would go really well with it. So that's that one, and that was a really simple knit and really quick. It's yeah, it went fairly quick. I started it at the end of November, and I only haven't finished it because I was trying to get Milo's hat finished for like Christmas Day. But otherwise, yeah, it was a really simple, straightforward knit. So I'd definitely knit that again if I have any more wee ones coming into my life. So that's a good one. I would definitely recommend that pattern. And the next WIP I have is this jumper, and this is the Matthew Pullover by Aimee Sher, and this is the first bottom up jumper that I've done. So this is the bottom of the jumper here, and then you knit up, and I've got to the part where I split the body to do the sleeves and the front and the back. So this jumper is the one that I did the massive swatch for, and I think I shared on the last episode, but basically this is the cable. So the cable pattern goes on the front, and then this is the bottom of the jumper. So because with this jumper I had knitted it a wee bit too short and then had to unpick it and knit it again, I'm just being super cautious about the length of this one, because with it being bottom up, I can't rip, I can't frog this back from the bottom. So I keep measuring it as I go, and I've kind of looked at the schematics on Aimee Sher's. Aimee Sher's patterns are really, really detailed. They give really good schematics and measurements, and really, really good. So I just keep going by. But saying that, I don't kind of follow lengths in patterns all the time, because sometimes I may want a jumper that's a little bit longer, or I may want a jumper that's a little bit shorter. So I tend to look at what the designer is saying, you know, their recommended length is, and then I'll double check that length on me to make sure that it's going to end up being the correct length for me, and not too long or not too short. So for this one, the measurement from the cast on edge to the bit where you split was noted as 14.75 inches. And that length is actually really good for me, but because the gauge for my rows was slightly less, I've ended up doing, like, that for me is like 56 rows rather than the 65 rows that's in the pattern. So just things like that. I'm just trying to make sure that I get the right length and that it's going to fit my body, rather than just going straight off the pattern. But I've measured it about 3 times now, and I think that this is going to be good. So then you, from the looks of it, you then work back and forth on the front and then back and forth on the back, and then put them together and then do the sleeves. So there's a bit of work, there's a lot of work still to do on this, but yeah, it's interesting doing a bottom up jumper, because all of the other ones that I've done before have been top down, so it's good to just have a bit of yeah, a bit of a change in how I'm knitting a jumper, and I'll see if I prefer one to the other. But yeah, so that's that one. So I think that's all of I've shown you all of my finished objects, and I've shown you 2 of the WIPs that I've got just now. I mean, I have other WIPs, but not ones that I'm actually working on just now. So I'm concentrating on the baby cardigan and the Matthew pullover, just because the Matthew pullover is an Aran weight jumper as well. So it's perfect for this time of the year. So I'd rather just get that knitted and hopefully finished, you know, sometime in January, so that I can actually wear it when the weather's cold, rather than, you know, leaving it and then, you know, if it's ready for spring, then it's probably going to be too warm at spring. So they're the 2 that I'm concentrating on just now. But I do have a future plan, and that future plan is the Douglas Cardi by Andrea Mowry, and I just love the slightly oversized feel to this cardigan, and she named it after her dad, and it does feel like a grandpa, you know, it feels like a grandpa cardigan, or, you know, a cardi you'd borrow from, like, you know, your dad or your granddad. So I really like the feel of this. And I went to the knitting and stitching show in Harrogate back in November, and I haven't done I was thinking about doing a separate episode about that, but in the end I didn't do that. But while I was there, I was thinking what I'd really like to do is get, maybe, because I think you need 5 different colours for this cardigan, and it's a DK weight. So I thought, while I'm at a knitting stitching show, I'll have a look and see if I can find maybe 5 different colours of yarn from 5 different yarn dyers, you know, and also I really want to get away from using superwash wool and try and go for like 100% non-superwash wool, and just see how I get on with that. So that's what I was looking for. So while I was at the knitting stitching show, I had a look around, and I got a couple of different yarns, but not all of the colours that I needed. And that was just because I had in my mind that I wanted to get autumnal colours, and also DK weight, and also non-superwash. And so I just out of the choice that was there, I didn't find all of the colours that I needed, but I did get a couple which I really like. So for the button band, you'll see that there's a big kind of button band that goes all the way down, and then there's ribbing kind of at the bottom as well. So for that, I thought you need 2 skeins of yarn to complete the button band and the ribbing. So I saw this, which is Law by the Fibre Company. Yeah, the Fibre Company. And this is 100% wool. And it's a beautiful colour. It's maybe coming up a little lighter on the camera, but it's a kind of burgundy. Yeah, it's a burgundy yarn, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I thought that would be a lovely, really stable yarn to do the button band and the ribbing, the bottom ribbing in. So I've got 2 skeins of that. And then the other yarn that I found was this beautiful red, really beautiful red, and the colourway is Poinsetta. Perfect. And it's from a new company to me called Dina's Home of Craft, and it's 100% Corriedale. And I just thought that would be a lovely colour to stripe against that kind of burgundy button band. So that was my kind of first 2 colours to go with the cardigan. And then I was looking around then online for other colours, and I went on to Ginger Twist website. Ginger Twist is a Edinburgh-based yarn company. Jess hand dyes her own yarn, which she sells in her shop, but she also sells other people's yarn in her shop as well. But I found 3 colours in her, which one is, yeah, Masham Meyhem DK. So this first colour is Factory Girls, and it's a slightly variegated but a lovely green, kind of muted green, a little bit darker in places and then a little bit lighter in places. So that's Factory Girls. Same base. Look at this, it's gorgeous. This one is Crunchy Leaves, kind of like a yellowy, again, yellowy orange, slightly darker in places and lighter in other places. And then I also got, yeah, Ginger Snap, which is, it's a brown, but I guess it's kind of a grey brown, more of a grey brown than a kind of darker chestnut brown. So together, oh, let's see if I can hold these all together. So I've got those 3, that one, and then the button band, and that's going to be a really lovely autumnal Douglas Cardi. And I had worked out that that's not the order the colours are going to be in. I had worked them out, but yeah, you'll see it once I finish the Matthew pullover. I'll start on this, and I'll get a nice autumnal striped cardi. Yeah, so I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with the colours that I got from that. And while I was shopping from Jess, I got one of her project bags as well. Ginger Twist Studio, and it has the poppers at the top, so if you have your yarn in, you can have the yarn coming out of the bag, and so it doesn't unroll and stuff. So that's a really nice, and it fits quite a lot of yarn in. Like I can put like that's all of those ones in the bag with a bit of room to spare. So yeah, treated myself to a project bag as well. So I think that's all for the makes. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just a couple of books that I got for Christmas because they are yarn related. And the first one is this. It's Moosh and Friends. And they're just the most adorable animal figures to make. You can see them all here. And they're wearing clothes, and you also get the patterns for making the clothes as well. I saw the author of this, Cynthia Valley. I saw her speak to the John Arbon crew on the John Arbon podcast, YouTube channel. So they're definitely worth a watch. They had Cynthia, they were speaking to her about the book and about how she came up with the idea of the characters and how she kind of, you know, thought about making the clothes and all of that. So it's just a beautiful book. And I do want to, I definitely do want to make some of these. The one that's kind of stood out to me at the moment are these two little ducklings. What they're called, Dodo and Mimosa. Oh, and they're just adorable. So yeah, there'll be some, hopefully there'll be some animal friend making in the coming year. And then the other book that I got was this one, The Colours of Nature, and it's a book about natural dyeing. And it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful book. I fancied doing some natural dyeing last year, so I'd been saving up some onion skins. I've got a whole bag of onion skins now, but wasn't quite sure what to do with them or how to use them. So I thought if I get a natural dyeing book for Christmas, then hopefully at some point in 2024 I can try and dye something with the onion skins. Also, we've got a wee garden, and I really like gardening, and so I thought I could potentially grow some plants that could then be used for natural dyeing. We had some mugwort growing in the garden last year, and I've only just cut it down. And apparently mugwort is a plant that you can dye yarn and fibre with. So that's a potential, as well as the onion skin. And then we had some, oh gosh, what was it called? It looked like chamomile, but it was yellow. And it was called, I looked it up, and it was called something like Dyer's chamomile. Is that right? Anyway, it turned out that you could use that for dyeing as well. And it just popped up by itself in the back garden. So I'm hoping that that will come back this year, and then I can have a go with that as well. So yeah, hopefully plenty of instruction on how to dye with natural plants and trees and stuff, and I really want to have a go of that in the new year. So I think I'll wrap that up for just now, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. I am wanting to do, I'm going to get back into my sewing, and so I hope to do an actual sewing episode for you on the channel in the next few weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I'm looking forward to getting back into sewing, and it'll give me a bit of different content as well to give you. So yeah, look forward to that. Okay, see you again soon. Bye.